What's happening, family? It is your man, CRB Jr. here at Motown Mafia Podcast, of course, a Big Boss Filmworks production. Hope all is well out there in the world. I am here, as always, with my partner in crime, my mellow man, what they call one of those the day oneer, the other half of Big Boss Filmworks. Big Lou, how you feeling, baby?
Man, life is good, man. Back to burn. We got some new stuff coming up. We got, before I really get started.
Okay.
I just had an interaction. Brother, forgive me for forgetting your name. I was up at a restaurant and he recognized the t-shirt. And he said, where can I get that t-shirt at? And I had a Motown Mafia podcast t-shirt and he was obviously a fan. So I said, check right there under us in the box right below. You can pick up any of the t-shirts, and I'll be putting new designs up ASAP.
That's awesome. That is awesome. We should do that. By the time we do our next podcast, we're going to have a nice little promotion because we should do something for the people here.
Got to.
We should do something for the people here. Let everybody get a little Big Boss, Motown Mafia swag. It's all good because we got a whole online store for the apparel arm of our situation. You've designed a few t-shirts in your day, have you not, Mr. Stevens?
That's how we met.
That is how we met.
The day we met, you looked at the catalog of t-shirts that I put together, and you was like, "Oh, these are pretty clever." And from there, that's where this whole thing started. Was merch.
Was merch. That's right. That's right. We'll have to tell the whole story again every time I think about Eddie Folks and that techno festival and the 600 shirts you got done for us.
Oh yeah.
Do we have a technical?
No, nothing.
It's all good there.
Yeah, everything's cool.
So again, family, hope everybody's good out here. We're good here at Big Boss Filmworks. Got a chance to see some of the stuff we put up last week concerning a tribute to a dear friend of both of ours, my brother from another mother, Craig Joseph Johnson, aka 250, and Lou's grandmom, Annie Stevens. So we are back to work, putting both of those great people home. They're homegoing, and we excited to be back. We got a lot of stuff coming up your way. We got Making of the Mafia, right, Lou?
Making of the Mafia. I'll be dropping some clips soon.
Yeah.
New trailer,
all of that before the holidays.
We're
looking to get that out, and
absolutely.
The company went with all of that. So kind of get into, I guess, what we'll start off the conversation with today, which is going to do a little throwback. Freddie Myers, New York Freddie. I don't know how many of you guys have or have not heard of him, but we're going to unpack a little bit of his story, and hopefully you guys are interested. You can go check him out as we attempt to give the roses, even though it may be late for some of these street legends, again, as the world of hip-hop and of urban culture becomes so mainstream. I think we've been consistent with our thought that the people who really made this culture and were the pioneers of this hustle game street culture, that people recognize that and that they don't get all lost because these guys did their thing before Facebook. They did their thing before Instagram.
Yeah.
They did their thing before TikTok, before YouTube. But it was their actions that set the whole culture that led to this multi-billion-dollar thing that's all going on, all around us. So,
big time.
As you recall, and as we documented Making the Mafia, when we started this thing, we obviously consumed all kind of content of pretty much, obviously you looked at the Mr. Untouchable by Dame Dash, the Nicky Bond story, the Felix Mitchell story, everybody. We went and we were going to go down this road of getting the Eddie Jackson and Courtney Brown story out there. And one of the more interesting characters when I was doing that had escaped me, and you gotta know, with having visited the old man for over a decade on and off in federal penitentiary, and then Eddie's old man in the Fed joint, and all the other family and friends, pretty much all the names of all the players we'd either heard of. Between Eddie and Pops and the rest of the crew, half of them they had interacted with.
Right, I was going to say they ran into a lot.
Or ran into them, but one of the guys that had escaped our conversation or access to was a guy by the name of Freddie Myers. Again, New York Freddie Myers. He was chronicled on in Feds magazine back in the day, and shout out again to people at Feds magazine. It was Feds that ran the first cover story on the Eddie Jackson organization. Right after we did that ad in Don Diva, the Feds cover story, which has launched it. So, shout out to those guys too. But yeah, this guy Freddie Myers was a big deal in Harlem. And there was, of course, so many correlations. Obviously, a lot of Freddie's run happened during the same era.
During the same with your dad's and Eddie's era.
Exactly. And what really stuck out to me though was that Freddie's run really went. I mean, all respect to all the hustlers out there, but most of the hustle stories are flash in the pans. It's a 6-month run here, a year run here. Of course,
one big flash of glory or whatnot.
That's the thing that made the Eddie Jackson organization so very unique. Well, two other things that during the Grand Hustle, the Golden Run, from '69 to '77, right? That's 8 years of street dominance in the city in Detroit, when Detroit was one of the major cities in the country at the time. I mean, so to stay at the top of the food chain for 8 years in Detroit, that doesn't get done anymore. And won't. And then of course the whole legacy that would follow the fruit from the Eddie Jackson tree, Demetrius in the '80s, Demetrius in the '90s. My father in the '80s, my father in the '90s, Butch in the '80s, Butch in the '90s, to Otis, to all the other people who came along the way that came off of the Eddie Jackson tree. 4 generations, 40 years worth of street legend continued to roll. But yeah, this guy, New York Freddie Myers, he started doing his thing in the late '60s. And he was indicted, or the feds came and got him on March the 6th, 1983. So if you go from 69 to 80 is 11 years plus 2, 13 years.
That's a run.
That's a run, yeah. The name of the Freddie I'm sorry, not Freddie. He was far from a Freddie Jackson.
Right, he wasn't a Freddie Jackson.
Freddie Myers should never be confused with Freddie Jackson. New York Freddie's crew's name was Good and Plenty.
Okay.
Is what the streets called them, right? Because they had good product and they gave out plenty of it. Yeah, it was called Good and Plenty. And there's a documentary that's called the Freddie Myers story. So again, if you guys, you can check it out on YouTube. I suggest if you're into this kind of stuff, you check out the Freddie Myers documentary. It's amazing, a guy who really had the run he had and the level he had, but kind of like Pops and later, they were as low profile as a hustler can be when you're doing $8 million, $10 million a month.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't.
But
be too low key.
I think being they were in New York, and I guess during the early parts of his run, you had Frank Matthews and Nicky Barnes, and then later Guy Fisher. I just think there were he was a whale, but there were just so many super whales in New York, and New York just being New York, and just a much easier town to blend in, having a ton of money. He was able to, his name didn't overring. But he was definitely right there with all the other big guys in New York, Nicky Barnes and Guy Fisher and Frank Matthews. And maybe not, nobody probably is on the level of Frank Matthews. But he had an interesting story, again, very similar to my father and Eddie and Butch. Las Vegas, right? Again, you can see this stuff in real detail if you look at the Freddie Myers documentary. But just like Eddie and Pops ran into Frank Matthews at the crap table, right? And got to talking shit, gambling with each other, and formed a relationship. Freddie Myers tells the same kind of thing, that he's actually on a plane going to New York. Fate would have it, he's literally sitting next to
the big fella
himself, the Don Dada's Don Dada, the hustler, the boss's boss, right? Right. He's sitting next to Frank Matthews. Frank peeps his watch, and they engage in conversation. And and you know, they formed a relationship, and he talks about later that after they got back to New York, they you know, he rode, Frank had of course a limousine waiting for him as soon as they landed in Vegas. Yeah, tells Freddie Myers, you can ride with me. They, you know, and I guess, I mean, again, just big fella, really big fella stuff. You guys who like to hear real big fella stuff, because these guys, again, and I don't want to sound old, even though I am old now, but just, again, they didn't have Instagram and YouTube to chronicle, or and TikTok and Facebook to chronicle the lavish lifestyle. So now, and what I think I want the younger audience to understand, and obviously older cats my age will get, the lifestyle that you see today's hip hop artists living is the lifestyle that they saw and heard about from guys like this. And I say that with all respect, and I am so happy about this hip hop thing, and the fact that these young black men are making serious money and getting to a real bag. I just pray and hope that we get some financial literacy, because it was the lack of financial literacy of the Freddie Myers, the Eddie Jacksons. Not that they were stupid, they all bought real estate and had legitimate businesses, but really being a little more savvy and understanding when you're handling
transfer that
money and make sure that generational wealth, you know, really occurred. You know, in our case, Mom made some incredibly strategic decisions, which has allowed and served the family well, you know, over the last 50 years. But
absolutely,
shout out to Mom.
Shout out, Miss Brown.
You know, if every family that hit the big times and the hustles that had a woman like Mom.
I don't know if many of these publications happen.
I mean, no, or maybe these public. Go ahead, unpack that for me.
Well, I'm saying, just like you know, like the Bernstein family. Well, you know, you do have the Purple Gang. The Purple Gang comes and they have their run during their time, but the wealth gets transferred, and most of those kids are what now? Journalists.
Shout out Scott Bernstein.
Scotty. Lawyers, doctors.
Well, it's an old adage I had heard, that the difference between Jewish gangsters and Italian gangsters is Italian gangsters' kids grow up to be gangsters, Jewish gangsters' kids grow up to be doctors and lawyers.
There you go. Yeah.
And again, that's a financial literacy thing, and even though Lord knows the mob ended up transferring a lot of that money and cleaning it up.
Into legitimate
businesses. And so that's what I was thinking. I'm so, because my mentor always said, you know, Courtney Jr., dwell in possibilities. So, you know, when you do, like, they do sometimes what they call revisionist history in fiction. What if the South had won the Civil War?
Right.
You know, what if America had lost World War II? What would the world be like?
Right.
You got, so that was in 69, I believe, 69 or 70, when Freddie Myers runs into Frank Matthews. Eddie would run into Frank Matthews in 72.
Okay.
You've got all these whales of black hustlers coming and going in Vegas.
Right on.
That if they would have ever gotten in the same room, well, they did all get in the same room, but really pooled their resources and pooled their networks. I mean, they made hundreds of millions back, that translated in today's money is billions then, without working together or not working together directly. But what would those organizations and hustles look like if they would have been coordinating their efforts, coordinating their resources?
They buy cities.
They would have bought cities.
It'd be like...
It would have literally changed the landscape of America.
It would have.
Because on some lower levels, it did transform Harlem. The hustle money transformed Harlem. Hustle money transformed Detroit. But on very small scales.
Right.
As in, because...
you put that money together, that happens like how cocaine changed Miami.
Exactly. Or what Prohibition did with the Italians once Lucky Luciano organized them under the commission and broke up the families and broke them into families with, you know, and then they were able to take all that liquor, that illegal liquor money, and do shit like
1973. The Detroit Free Press's front page proclaims, "Dope kingpins get away with it." They had names like Jesse James, Pretty Ricky, the Black Greek, and Mr. Clean. 2 of the 12 men listed as Detroit's biggest heroin dealers were next-door neighbors, and in reality, they were the 2 largest heroin dealers in Detroit, dwarfing the other men on the list. Eddie the Fat Man Jackson, charismatic son of a pool hall owner, and his chief lieutenant, Courtney the Field Marshal Brown, a former city bus driver, had built an empire on a par with men like Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas of New York. But theirs was a very different and in many ways more sophisticated operation than Barnes and Lucas's, based on family ties and finesse more than murder and mayhem. They truly were the Motown Mafia, and the saga of Eddie Jackson, Courtney Brown, and their families stretched from the 1960s and into the present day.
Build a city called Las Vegas.
That,
Right? And build a city called Las Vegas with that kind of money, right?
yeah, man.
And then there was another great guy in that documentary, and shout out to the OG. His name was Jesse Gray.
Yeah.
Freddie Myers calls Jesse a hustler's hustler. You know, kind of guy that if you gave him 10 keys, he moved that. If you gave him 20 keys, he moved that.
Right on.
There was never, and it reminded me of some of the guys that, you know, that Eddie and Pops were dealing with. It just seemed like there was no end to how much product they could move. If the bag was right, they just turned the bag into money, like instantly. Shout out to OG. There's a guy named JC Rex that Dad talks about that after they got popped by the feds on the initial indictment. Everybody, people a little squirmish dealing with him. JC basically was like, just give me the bag then. I'll sell all 30 keys. And did basically
and put that together.
Yeah, and ran through. Or later, Fat Frank, same kind of guy. So anyway, like in any business, you got to run across those 1 or 2 guys who just really are plugged in and have a network to help move your inventory. If you want, and that's what makes it difficult for the average hustler or businessman to ascend to great levels, because whether it's the street business or legitimate business, at some point you gotta have a distribution network, and obviously every distribution network needs a star. And Jesse Gray, well, he wasn't just, I mean, if you look at the doc, he was actually a peer of Freddie Myers, not really employee, but they
right.
Those 2 did network together. And he said something that's really deep, and that is that their organization, the Good and Plenty Crew, wasn't based on money, how they interacted with people, that it was based on blood and relationships. And that again reminds me so much about them.
Right, the synergies between the 2.
That, you know, Eddie's thing was, if you was family, or if you was, your relationship was right with them, then you could get money with them. So yeah, man.
That's deep.
Yeah. So I don't know if you got a chance at the end, and then of course I was the sad part of some of these stories. So he gets popped in '83. Basically 10 years later, the big homie that we know, Kevin Childs, would go down. You know, his situation, his
right.
case would start. And I bring that up because it was both, as in so many of those cases, an informant, somebody who the feds got close to them, that brought them down, and how unfortunately the players in the 90s hadn't learned the lessons from the players from the 80s, who had not fully learned the lesson from the players in the 70s. Because the Eddie Jackson organization, the Fairleigh bust in New York which led to the beginning of the indictment. That was a crippling shot, but that's of course not what did it. It was the informant, Roosevelt Neighbors, aka Johnny Quick. And again, for you guys out there, excuse me, brother, if you guys want to know the whole story of how that informant, Roosevelt Neighbors, Johnny Quick, infiltrated the Eddie Jackson organization and the Motown Mafia. Check out Motown Mafia on Amazon. You can get the book, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid.
Yeah.
And of course, you got the award-winning documentary where Pops and Rudolph Butch really go into that again, how this informant got inside their organization through a guy named George Blair. Shout out to the Blair family, obviously out there. There's people used to shout out to us, and
Yeah, big shout.
you know, whatever people, however it went down with George, he was demonstrated integral part.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, integral part of the organization. But unfortunately, he did bring a gentleman who would end up being a government informant into the circle of Eddie and my father. And in fact, Pops, of course, always tells the story that when they were at the house on Hubble, and this guy, Roosevelt Neighbors, Johnny Quick, was there with George, and he says he nudges Eddie, and he was like, "What's this guy?" And Eddie tells him, "That's George's man." And Pops reminds Eddie of his own edict. He's like, "Eddie, you said we don't sell to people we don't know." And so I'm going to get to a part about following your instincts, family. So Eddie Gus said that he serves George Blair with his guy, Roosevelt Neighbors, aka Johnny Quick.
Right.
After they do the transaction, Eddie goes to, the fat man goes to big man. He says, "Eddie, I'm going to tell you this. If we ever have any problems," you've heard, go ahead.
Yes,
What does
yes.
he tell Eddie?
If anything happens that brings us down, it's going to be him or that white woman that he's with.
And the only two witnesses that got on the stand against them was
Those two.
that white woman and Roosevelt Neighbors and
Roosevelt
Neighbors and Johnny Quick were the only people who actually took the stand and gave the most damaging testimony against them, right?
Yeah.
So on that note, right? Pop's vibe is telling them this guy's bad. Eddie know his own rule. Eddie that made the rule. We don't sell to strangers. Laxed money, comfort with friends because George is his man. George, high-ranking member of the organization. So now we gonna do what you ain't never supposed to do. We gonna make an exception
Right.
to the rule. Well, there's a reason why the rule is the rule. Because the rule really should not have any exceptions to it. That's kind of what makes it the rule, right?
Right, exactly.
But they didn't. So I'm listening to the and researching the Freddie Myers story, and his deal was they go to Atlantic City, and this just it's a bunch of different points to just make you think about us, our culture, how things were back then, and on some level how little things have changed.
Right.
Freddie getting money, hanging out at a famous spot where all the New York ballers called Small's Paradise. In fact, if you look at American Gangster, a lot of those club scenes in the Denzel Washington movie, right? The Frank Lucas story, which ain't really the Frank Lucas story, but that's a different story. Small's Paradise was the one of the spots in Harlem. So Freddie's at Small's Paradise. He's approached by a guy named Mousy. Mousy, it used to be his man.
Right.
We know how it go, but Mousy not getting high. Mousy all fucked up. Okay. Freddie and his crew, it just reminds me of the Eddie Jackson entourage taking 8 Cadillacs out to New York for the flight. Frank and his Freddie and his crew about to get in all their Benzes and Cadillacs and go down to Atlantic City. Now they all diamond up and shit, and here come Mousy the dope fiend. But I think the audience understand this. Well, there is a code, and it really used to be a code. It doesn't exist so much in today's world.
Correct.
But back in the day, even if my man's fucked up, if he was my man and he ain't never did nothing scurvy to me and his only issue is he's got some personal issues, he's still my man.
Right.
And he still has entree to us who doing good.
Okay.
Even though he done fell off and he fucked up.
Right on, right on.
So we all who've been out there have had that relationship and that interaction. Times was good, it was a different time and place. You and the guy was cool, y'all made a lot of money together. Maybe unfortunately, substance abuse gets the best of them or life gets the best of them. But when you bump back into them, you don't kick them to the curb, you just be like, yeah, But
Right.
it's a fine line because would come with somebody with substance abuse issues, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They just magnets for bad luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
They slept rock.
Right.
People, it's sad to say, and I ain't being funny style, because I've had my own issues in life, but people could be getting high when it gets to like dope fiend levels, shit. They be magnets for bad luck and tragedy. It'd be like that cloud just follow them, right?
Facts.
So anyway,
Facts.
Mousy catch up to Freddie and the crew at Small's Paradise. He like, damn, my man looking kind of bad, but anyway, that's my man. He say, well, me and the fellas, we are going, and these broads, we are going to Atlantic City.
Right.
Mousy say, can I go? Now, again, because it brought me back, you know, me, Eddie, Tracy, we're going to the Cool Jazz Festival. And we, you know, getting our outfits and shit. And Brother Mook somehow crossed our paths as we was on our way. Let's just say Mook had been on the block for a minute and hadn't made it home to change clothes in a long time. But Mook go back to us to
knee high to Betsy Bug.
Yeah, so Mook like, I want to go.
Right.
I want to go to Cool Jazz Festival, Cincinnati. Oh, Big look at me. I look at the Hut. The Hut look back. What we gonna do? How we gonna tell this man we done known all our life? Because you done fell off. You ain't good enough to go on vacation with us. You again, these some old school values. You can't do that.
Nope.
If Pop and the old timers find out you did some shit like that, you gonna get a lecture. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? That's where we never got where we came from. We never got what the struggle is.
Right, exactly.
You niggas couldn't have got him a room. Y'all getting money. Y'all couldn't have figured out a way to make it work.
Right.
Right? And one of the greatest vacations I had, actually. Our story ended much better than Freddie Meyer's story. Mook came with us, and me, Tracy, and Eddie went to Cincinnati Cool Jazz Festival, and we were able to give our friend who was a little down in his luck a good weekend.
Good time, right.
Well, not so much for Mousy and Freddie Myers. So Mousy all fucked up. He cut into his man. I want to go to Atlantic City with the fellas.
Okay.
You know, if you watch the documentary, Freddie says, you know, despite a better judgment, again, old time loyalties, fuck it. Mousy, you can't ride with me, but you can come. He tells some of the other crew, look, Mousy gonna ride with y'all. Okay, they get to Atlantic City, they get to the hotel. You know, Freddie got a whole bunch of rooms. He said they had some young broads, pretty broads. Of course, pretty broads gonna be where guys with the bag is at. They go together like pretty women and guys with money go together like salt and pepper. Always have, always will.
Forever.
Waffles and pancakes, butter and biscuits.
What is it? Peanut butter and chocolate.
Peanut butter, all that, they go together. You find one, the other one ain't gonna be far around.
That's right.
Okay, well here's where the problem begins though. So they get to Atlantic City, they all in their suites. This is according to these other words of New York Freddie Myers. He said he get to his room, he get a call, of course, because I'm telling you, when people be fucked up, it be fucked up. So he dressed like a vagrant.
Okay.
You got these pretty young girls who, of course, got in their head, we going with these ballers, we gonna have us a good time, and we gonna do what pretty young girls and ballers do, right? Mousy call his man, because people be out their mind. He go call Freddie and tell him, hey man, these girls acting real funny style. And Freddie say, he tried to explain to him, well, damn, Mousy, they pretty young girls, and you kind of, without trying to hurt the brother's feelings, you kind of fell off a little bit.
Right.
And, so, yeah, they looking kind of for fly guys, and that ain't how you laying right now, bro. Right. So, kind of relax. You just...
Right.
His man Mousy keep cutting into him, right? Well, no, they ain't treating me right, yada, yada, yada. So... Freddie's man who's downstairs named Danny. This character again he's gonna be the Roosevelt Neighbors Johnny Quick. He's a DJ, good guy, but not a hustler.
Okay. Square.
But he in the clique. But he a square in the clique. But everybody like him, everybody know him, he been in the
Right.
scene, right? So he get to hang out with the clique. And instead of, as always, we're going to get there, instead of being a square that's in the clique, and understand that the square and the clique is the luckiest guy in the world, because I'm gonna have all the same fun as you niggas hustling, except for when the fans come, y'all going to jail, and I'm gonna be who y'all calling me, because see, I ain't doing no dirt with y'all. We just cool.
Right.
And so that really is a lesson out there. If you are the square and you plugged in to some guys that's making it happen, stay in your lane. You are the luckiest man.
Ugh.
Because you getting to live the lifestyle without throwing rocks at the penitentiary. It don't get no better than that.
It don't get no better. It's a very sweet spot.
That's a very envious spot. But it's amazing how many people be in that envious spot
and then want to get over
and want to get into the hot lane.
into the hot lane, right?
The lane is, my mom would say, the lane to lead to the federal penitentiary. All you niggas going to jail. And Schoolyard George used to say, oh, this money we getting, boy, niggas ain't supposed to get this much money. We all gonna end up in the jailhouse behind this shit here.
Wow.
Schoolyard would kill Eddie with that shit every time. You know we all gonna end up in the jailhouse behind this shit, all this money we making. Y'all know niggas ain't supposed to have this much money. We all going to the jailhouse behind this shit. Fucking with George did it. Anyway, different story. We'll tell the legend of Schoolyard George another time.
Yeah.
Shout out to George out there too, by the way. Real soldier, last of a dinosaur's breed. Just stand up, old school, hard as a rock. Kill a stone for the old man. But anyway, so Mousy bugging Freddie, saying the young broads ain't treating him right. Yada yada yada. Freddie say, Mousy, tell old boy Danny, the square. He say he was holding about $19,000 for him or something. He said, tell him to give you a couple dollars and then you'll have some money and maybe the girls will treat you a little bit better. Because money does have a funny way, despite of wardrobe and appearance, a couple dollars can make
can go a long way.
the fair sex a little more at least they can tolerate you, you know. Dress like a bum, lack of hygiene, and broke, that's 3 times
And
losing.
that's kind of pushing it.
Not dress well, lack of hygiene, but a bunch of $100 bills. I mean, we can find a way to the shower. Well, yeah, that now there's nothing more than some soap and water can cure. Once you got a pocket full of hundreds, some soap and water can cure the rest of these ills, baby, and we can get to it. But okay, it don't go down like that.
Okay.
It don't go down like that. We good on the time on our.
Yeah, I just reset it. You're good.
Mousy, you know, this is where his daddy would call it the real nigga shit. Real nigga shit kick in. Mousy tell Danny that Freddie said, give me a couple hundred. I got to tell y'all, all y'all who have been black all your life like myself, know that sometimes there be so much money going around, but sometimes in our culture, community, we can just get silly. And I don't think it's just our culture. People, I should stop saying that. People can get real silly. People, especially who are not used to being around money or used to just doing favors for people. So I've been there, you know, Danny looking at old boy Mousy like, you shouldn't even be here, and now you messing up my good time, and fuck you, and even though boss told me what to do, fuck what boss said, he ain't here, I'm the boss. Especially got some broads around, I think you guys can figure out the scene, right?
Yeah.
But this shit goes really south for this crew. Mousy says, Freddie said, give me some money. His man, the DJ Danny, says, nah, this, that, and the third. They get into an altercation. He knocks Mousy down. He say, according to the bras, he tells Freddie he thought Mousy was going for a gun or something. Anyway, he shoots the dope fig. He shoots Po Mousy. Mousy staggers out the room, makes it down to the lobby of the hotel. Freddie Myers and the rest of the crew are all obtained, and now he's on the radar. Okay. This then same guy, Danny, who then shot Po Mousy, they get back to New York. he brings to Freddie Myers a guy by the name of Alvin Jones. Now, Alvin Jones, according to Freddie, had been told that they used to hustle together also, but that he had been popped by the police and he had turned snitch.
Okay.
Now, this is the part, though. It is very much like the Roosevelt neighbors, Eddie. I mean, there's always that conduit. You know, the feds seldom can get directly close to the big fella himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they got to get close to somebody who's close to the big fella to infiltrate, to get close enough to get some transactions, right?
Right.
Now, even though I know by the time this is taking place, and Freddie Myers is in New York, so he has seen Frank Matthews go on the run. He has seen Nicky Barnes go to jail. He's seen Guy Fisher go to jail. He knows the game. So when Danny approaches him with this guy, and he's got reputation of this guy as a snitch, instead of just short-circuiting and saying, I'm not going to play with you kids, he basically entertains the conversation. He tells Danny, I'm not doing business with the guy. Danny says, well, can I do business with the guy? And he tells his man Danny, look, you're a DJ, you ain't a hustler, you need to stay out of this lane. You know, the same thing got Mr. Horn, the barber. Y'all just don't want to see me driving Cadillacs. You know, there was a barber who went down. Good friend of ours. Shout out to Mr. Horn. Yeah. But he ended up catching a case with Eddie and the other 32 guys and my dad because he got out of his lane. He was living the life, running with the crew.
When keeping it real goes wrong.
When keeping it real goes wrong. Yeah. Long story short, Freddie looks out for the DJ guy, Danny. Says, man, if you want to try to make you some money, but I'm telling you, I think your man, the police. Now, and he tells him, Danny, you're going to end up going to jail. But if Freddie knew what I know, nah, he ain't going to be the one going to jail. You going to be the one going to jail.
Yeah.
Because if he dealing with a snitch, when the shit hit the fan, good chance he going to snitch on you. Even though you think you got a level of separation from the streets or from the snitch, some chances aren't worth taking. You know, in hindsight, of course, is always 20/20. All the hustles, everybody's been involved.
Always.
Anyway, of course, the guy was the police, and that is what led to the dismantling of the Good and Plenty crew. Yeah.
Only take one.
It always takes one, and it's always one. And of course, as it would always happen, it was just really as he was beginning to try to kind of go legit. You know, but I guess the moral of the story, and so many of these stories, when you come from that environment and you're dealing in multi-millions of dollars, but your allegiance and your lifestyle is still so closely connected to the streets. So few of us have had the discipline to just really separate ourselves from the streets. Because the streets be full of tragedy and people who are tragedy prone, and you just can't really run a multi-million-dollar business and continue to have that close of, because they're gonna get to you. The state's gonna get to you, the stick of man, the pole, tragedy's gonna happen. But all that, would love to hear you guys' opinion of this legendary hustler. Again, New York Freddie Myers. One of those stories that just never got the pub, but another fascinating story from that era, and for people who cover and enjoy kind of gangster material, gangster history. He's got a place in it. So shout out to New York Freddie Myers.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and check out his doc. I hope his people are the ones who own the intellectual property on that.
Yeah, because as we know, just recently, speaking of intellectual properties, there is a movie that there's a standing boycott. You've heard of a talented boxer by the name of Mike Tyson.
Get out of here! What's up with the Iron Man?
Okay, he has.
You know, I told him I should be his manager back December 30th. 1989, I told him at Nels, you should let your man CB represent you.
You see? He probably should have listened.
He probably should listen. We both would have a couple hundred M's.
Yeah, a couple hundred
M's more.
Probably
anyway,
knowing you by now, probably be a couple of B's.
A couple B's.
and what he had.
Cut it
Jesus.
out. Cut it out.
No, but his doc came out. Not doc. His biopic came out.
Okay.
But Mike is upset that he's not getting a penny for it.
So they didn't bring him in.
Out.
They
That
didn't
was
bring him in.
Hulu. It's a Hulu original. And the streets is talking.
I mean, I get that, but then I don't get it. So I mean, Hulu's a big platform, but it ain't HBO, right?
Well, I mean, I think they're backed by Disney. If I'm
But
not.
it's somebody big behind it.
Yeah.
Right? But business is business. Subsidiary of Disney, they've got a budget. Obviously, the Mike Tyson story is compelling.
Absolutely.
That's where, well, what we talk about and why we're doing what we're doing, it's been slow and it's been meticulous, but lining up the dots so that we can do the Eddie Jackson story and Courtney Brown story and the story of some of these Detroit stories, to do it on our terms. Is important, and why we have done the documentary, done the book, and done some things to protect our intellectual property.
That's right. That's right.
To my knowledge, there is no autobiography of Mike Tyson.
No, I don't think so.
Why him and his team had never already done a documentary, as fascinating and as famous as he is, I don't know, because somebody close to him had to say, yo, champ, if we don't do this,
Right.
someone else is going to do it, and all your life is public record, so they don't have to
They don't have to
bring you in. Now you would think I'll 50 Cent, G Unit, bringing in Meech and the Flannery family into the BMF series, and so many other examples of people who want to do stories on people's lives and bring those people in, or their family members in, and say, why don't you guys come in as consultants or producers so we can really get the story.
The story,
especially
right.
from Tyson's case, where you could get the story straight from but they ain't that interested in the truth, no way.
Well,
It's
I mean,
the truth of it.
as we saw from American Gangster. I mean, you spoke of it a few minutes ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Paramount. Ike Atkins reached out after the New Yorker interview. When Frank Lucas did that interview that really started the whole ball to rolling with the Atlantic magazine. I'm sorry, with the New Yorker magazine. Talking about the coffin connection and the plug coming out of Southeast Asia. Ike was sitting down in Butner.
Okay.
An old man ended up on my last go round.
Is that no one?
North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina.
Butner, North Carolina.
Okay.
Medical federal medical facility.
Okay.
So Ike writes a letter to the New Yorker saying, yo, that story's not accurate. I was the guy bringing in the stuff from Asia. Frank Lucas got his work from me. I took Frank Lucas to Thailand. I was the guy with the bar. Me and my partner, we the ones who did all this. But the New Yorker was like, well, you know, guys,
A little too late.
A little too late. Story's already out. And once Paramount jumped on the bandwagon, then it's a bunch of suits making decisions, and Ike Atkins, Frank Lucas, Harlem, black guy, drug dealer, both from North Carolina. Close enough, guys. Close enough.
Close. Big time.
But they threw Ike a bone, at least.
Yeah. Oh, did they?
Ike got about $800,000
Oh,
on
that's
the
what's
consulting. I mean, not really for a movie that grossed over $400 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he would have, again, at his stage in life, I get it. 800,000 at his stage in life was like $8 million for us, you know, at our age, because he's like, clock ticking, it's late, it's the 2-minute warning, and you talk about 800,000, I'll run with it. But for future generations of his family, let's just say he had said, okay, give me the 800,000 plus 1% of gross. Well, 1% of 400 million is 4 million, and counting, because you're going to be seeing American Gangster forever.
Right, that'll be like our White Heat, or
just the Al Capone story, the untouchable.
Right.
Benny, or no, what was with Warren Betty? Bugsy.
Bugsy.
It'll be like Bugsy. It'll be like the Untouchables.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be like Dillinger. They're gonna keep playing that movie over and over again forever.
Exactly.
And but that goes back to the financial literacy, kind of thing, family.
Definitely.
So yeah, great story, untold story of street legend, New York Freddie Myers. So that's what we do here at Big Boss. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Eddie Jackson buyout.
Yeah,
the Eddie Jackson buyout. I'll bring you guys. I know a lot of you guys are just the channel is growing. So again, I always forget, and we must remember. Please, guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Smash that notification bell down below.
Check us out also. Where we at on Facebook and IG?
Big Boss Filmworks around the board. We're on IG. We're on TikTok now. Dropping a few shorts. Look at YouTube shorts. Check out. We'll be doing some stuff on live Facebook very soon.
Yeah. We're interviewing some tech people and trying to grow out this team. Again, we want to get this Motown Mafia, get Motown, making it a Mafia. We're pretty much almost home with that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was going to happen this year. I don't see Motown Mafia Part 2 happening the end of the year, but I think we'll at least be starting.
We'll be in production.
We'll be in
for
production.
Sure.
We'll be in production by
we're putting that together.
Yeah, so that's gonna happen. So yeah, make sure you guys are hitting that like, share, and subscribe. We got a lot of hot stuff coming up. And I was saying, I know a lot of people have come on, so we are just honored and pleased with the growth of the channel. So sometimes for those who already are familiar with the story, bear with us, because we got to sometimes backtrack to keep the whole family up to breast. And again, we always suggest that everybody check out the book if you like to read Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin Kid, or check out the doc Motown Mafia on Tubi TV or Amazon Prime, so you guys can really always have a full grasp on where we would be going with these stories and why we have some of these unique insights.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, also on Amazon is Mind Right, Money Right, Getting Off Zero. Give you guys some business ideas. And then, can you hand me
The Big Man?
The Big Man on Campus. A fictionalized story of my days in college when I first started working for the old man. Names and places have been changed, as we say, to protect the guilty and the innocent. But that's also available on Kindle, on Amazon. We're going to have that and paperback. But if you get it on paperback, you got to go directly to us, shoot us an email, or go to bigbossfilmworks.com, and we can send you a hard copy. I think we'll probably actually go ahead and give Amazon some hard copies also.
Yeah.
But you can get Mind Right, Money Right, Getting Off Zero directly from Amazon, Kindle or paperback. You can get Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid on Amazon, paperback or Kindle, and Big Man on Campus available on Amazon, Kindle, and soon paperback also. But you can always go to bigbossfilmworks.com and buy it directly from us.
And
so,
we
go ahead, bro.
Yeah, big time. We also really want to hear from you guys. Like, who are some of the people you want to hear us chat about? Who are some of the people you want to know about? I want to know in the comments section. Some of the hell of a fellas, some of the real ones. Talk to us. Tell us what you want to see. And in the comments section, you leave the right comment, we're going to drop you a book. If you don't have it already, The Big Man on Campus, Motown Mafia, or Getting Off Zero.
Yeah.
We're going to do a freebie for one of you lucky commenters.
Yeah. Definitely send out a comment, send out something, and then you know what? In fact, we might have to be maybe send in a comment, and we're gonna do. Maybe we can do that with some of the T-shirts too.
Yeah, we got T-shirt selection, baseball caps,
before
that kind of
for the new stock hits. We can send out some of the past designs to some of the family out there, because
big time.
We are a benevolent crew, because we learned from the real trap gods that you guys are us and we are you guys, and so we family, so we should look out for each other. So you guys check in and keep telling people about it, so you're doing your part, so we're gonna do our part and look out for you guys too.
Definitely.
All right, so let's take a hot little break.
Hot break.
And come back and give a little throwback history of the Eddie Jackson organization, Eddie Jackson buyout, the man who was doing franchises before franchises got popular. Holla at your man. It's your man, CRB Jr., Big Lou, Big Boss Filmworks, Motown Mafia podcast. Some of this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and take a break. But for those who do not know, we have another channel called the Diaspora Plug that's available on YouTube. We really started off because we were doing a lot of business in Africa prior to the pandemic. But we're going to start putting up a lot of the business content that we do, because obviously I'm a businessman, entrepreneur. Lou, you're a businessman, entrepreneur.
Definitely.
We do business together, and we do business with all kind of people. And we want to really start chronicling, the other brothers and sisters in our community who are doing some big things and little things, because all big things were at one time little things. So we're going to start putting up some of that content up on the Diaspora Plug, kind of expand. It's going to be a lot more than just about business in Africa and the motherland. It's going to be a plug for the diaspora, for brothers and sisters anywhere trying to do business and do something entrepreneurial. We're going to have some hot content on Diaspora Plug for you. So there it is. It's your man. Holla.
"1973. The Detroit Free Press's front page proclaims, 'Dope kingpins get away with it.' They had names like Jesse James, Pretty Ricky, the Black Greek, and Mr. Clean. 2 of the 12 men listed as Detroit's biggest heroin dealers were next-door neighbors, and in reality, they were the 2 largest heroin dealers in Detroit, dwarfing the other men on the list. Eddie the Fat Man Jackson, charismatic son of a pool hall owner, and his chief lieutenant, Courtney the Field Marshal Brown, a former city bus driver, had built an empire on a par with men like Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas of New York. But theirs was a very different and in many ways more sophisticated operation than Barnes and Lucas's, based on family ties and finesse more than murder and mayhem. They truly were the Motown Mafia, and the saga of Eddie Jackson, Courtney Brown, and their families stretched from the 1960s and into the present day.
And cover y'all in the newspapers from 1973, 1974, 1975, 76. We got to keep track, because these niggas here, they didn't just, they went way past overdoing their act. They done made a whole new show.
And like you said, Jesse, we don't want to get a nigga this goddamn, but we got to do stuff called this. If they get completely free.
If y'all don't go to jail, we got to shut down the country, because the country didn't vote for it. If y'all niggas get away with this one here,
yeah.
Now we ain't saying y'all got to go to jail.
Yeah. He didn't give it time. He could have given it more than that.
That's what I'm saying. Daddy, he let y'all stay out on bond for 6 years. Let y'all sell all that money. Y'all steady selling dope. Under federal investigation, under federal, but they say as long as one day them niggas go to jail, it's fine. They ain't really bothering nobody. They're nice guys, actually. They good neighbors out there in the suburbs. They ain't killing up the town. In fact, from what we can see, they give all these niggas half the money they make, they give away. But y'all do got to go to jail now. Y'all just shit. This shit cannot go. This shit here can't go.
Like you said, when you told the DA, man send his kids to the best schools. Then what y'all want to do?
Yeah, that's what Judge Fiken, when he chastised the FBI for going out there to Country Day. He said, now what you want the man to do? It's obvious, as you say, the authorities, the man is making a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Now this is what the government say. Y'all telling me that him and his partner making all this money. So this is a man with a bunch of money. Don't it make sense he would send his kids to the best schools he could? And we supposed to be mad at him for that? Now the judge say, now we taking it too far. Now the government, now the FBI, DEA, y'all taking this a little bit too personal. Now on one hand, you tell me the man rich, that they selling all the dope in America. Then you wonder why he can afford to send his kids to country day.
Yeah.
Now which one is it? Is he broke and can't send his kids to country day? Or is he rich and he can send his kids to country day?
And his wife goes shopping every day.
Every day. That's her job.
Yeah.
Her job is to go to Northland.
Yeah.
And to travel.
Yeah, the travel.
More than the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
The woman go to the Bahamas like people go to the grocery store. Some women go to the grocery store once a week. She go to the Bahamas once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they ain't bothering nobody.
Ain't bothering nobody. Matter of fact, they easy to find. All you gotta do is drive down West Hampton. You'll see them. You'll see them niggas be right there in front of their houses and all their cars every day. Yeah. No, so that's why the city, and again, you wasn't keeping track on how many people y'all was helping.
No, not really.
You know, y'all niggas, came up, y'all just came up with people, and people needed help, and y'all threw them, y'all helped them, and y'all wasn't even keeping track of keeping no books or notes on what y'all was giving away. Niggas knew y'all had it, and they asked y'all. And then half the time y'all gave it to them without them asking.
Yeah, Junior.
So it's all good, but yeah, it's only gonna get worse, Daddy. It's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna.
They looking for a movie. They looking for something. I know.
Oh, it's coming. We gonna give them something to talk about. For real.
Yeah.
For real, we about to give these niggas something to talk about.
They gonna give them a 3-ring circus.
Yeah. For real though, all the dogs and all the ponies.
That's right. the dancing bears.
The dancing bears and all that shit. Yeah. We gonna give them something to talk about for real, Daddy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
but you good for the night?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I ain't called for that. I just called to check on you.
Well, I appreciate it.
I'm cool.
Yeah, we almost finished taping.
Yeah, I'm trying something I want to ask you down. Oh, yeah. Thanks. You gave Trina my number, didn't you?
I did give Trina your number.
I didn't know. I hadn't talked to Trina shit in years. She
Yeah.
said she was back in the clinic and she working at St. John's.
Yes,
She called me today.
she
I didn't
ran
know she
into
was
it. I ran into her and she say, Courtney, these niggas can't understand even our relationship. I say, Trina, you got to understand, baby, this shit way above their pay grade. This shit mean you telling them you've been to Nigeria and Antigua and you've been to New York at the Marriott Marquis and you was going to the Soul Train Awards in California and that you was 25 seeing $500,000 at a no, you can't tell them niggas no, they don't understand, Trina. You can't and I told you can't be mad at them. Niggas was trying to get a nickel rock, and here you come talking about you went to Nigeria to get the bag. How they go? Come on, baby, you talking real crazy.
Yeah, you crazy for real.
Yeah, you got to be crazy. What is you talking about? Yeah, I was on the hookup table. We had more dope on it. We had enough dope to cover the whole table.
See?
We had so much dope it'd take us all day to try to bag it up, and we still couldn't get done. And you telling this to somebody who was short on a $10 blow. Now how you gonna expect them to know what you talking about? The shit you was dreaming about was the shit we spilt on the floor. It's the truth. A nigga's dream was on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, talking about you got to use a 1 foot long sifter to go through all this shit. No.
No, they ain't never seen them like no. They seen the movie, but that's all they know.
So that's what I told Trina when they come across you and they be like, "Didn't you work for Courtney?" And you get to tell them, "Yeah, I've been all over the world." No, they don't know. Tell somebody they ain't been west of Woodward. He talk about
Yeah,
you
I
and
talked to Shonda too. She told me I knew you didn't Shonda them know, cause I had to miss lawsuit or something. And Shonda called me because she said she working at JC Penney
good.
warehouse. And she said she's coming back to the city in about 5 or 6 months.
I need to give her a call. If she coming to town, I really need to, because they both got fascinating. I mean, that's the other part before I got from. You took some ordinary people, and for a period of their life, you gave them an extraordinary life. You took regular people who wasn't never supposed to see nothing past Belle Isle, and they was at the Marquis Marriott eating steaks, going to Nigeria. Are you kidding me? At the Soul Train Awards, diamonds and jewels and fur coats.
Wow.
Come on. Niggas was, and before they came across you, they was trying to figure out how to get a bridge card.
Yeah.
And now they living better than the rappers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a fact once you look back at it,
Shauna and her mama had more money in jail than these niggas getting in the streets when they in jail. So come on, cut it out. Cut it out.
Yeah, she was a soldier.
Yeah, we always give them credit. Both of them, Shauna, her mama, they were soldiers. They real stand up people, real stand up people. Because they could have brought the whole show down, and it cost you a pretty penny, but yeah. Goldfarb and them found the lawyers for them, didn't they? Out there in California.
California, yeah. And say one thing deserve another. So,
You treated them like queens, but when the rubber hit the road, they stood up.
They stood up, yeah.
Yeah, which is more than these niggas can say.
Come on, what y'all got? You got? I ain't got nothing coming.
I don't know. Donald did it.
I work for your group.
I work for Donald. Donald's known for stealing hubcaps. Now you gonna tell the police? Shadow Baba gonna tell the police Donald the mastermind of the organization. Donald in jail for stealing hubcaps. The white folks saw y'all funny. Y'all real funny people. Donald in charge. I know the FBI DA said we tired of it. We through with y'all. We just through. We ain't talking to these people no more because these people is real funny. They got us at Jackson talking to Donald. Ain't never seen $10 at one time. And this woman then said, he the mastermind. Yeah, that's a scene that's got to be in the movie there. She done told them white folks, I work for my brother, okay? We gonna go talk to your brother. They gonna talk to God. Oh, you people. you guys are real funny.
Yeah. Comic section.
Yeah, y'all in the comedy section. You right, y'all are in the comedy business because you guys are real funny. But let me finish this taping, Daddy.
All right, go ahead.
All right, love you.
I'm checking on that clip for me. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll talk to you. All right, take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay, that was classic.
That was classic.
(1973). The Detroit Free Press's front page proclaims, "Dope kingpins get away with it." They had names like Jesse James, Pretty Ricky, the Black Greek, and Mr. Clean. 2 of the 12 men listed as Detroit's biggest heroin dealers were next-door neighbors, and in reality, they were the 2 largest heroin dealers in Detroit, dwarfing the other men on the list. Eddie the Fat Man Jackson, charismatic son of a pool hall owner, and his chief lieutenant, Courtney the Field Marshal Brown, a former city bus driver, had built an empire on a par with men like Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas of New York. But theirs was a very different and in many ways more sophisticated operation than Barnes and Lucas's, based on family ties and finesse more than murder and mayhem. They truly were the Motown Mafia, and the saga of Eddie Jackson, Courtney Brown, and their families stretched from the 1960s and into the present day.
Yeah, one of our mules, she did. She was like, Courtney, they don't even understand this.
That's the one I got the pictures of, the mother and daughter.
Yeah, they homegirl, her partner in crime.
Okay.
We got to get Trina. She would probably be willing to get on camera. Now, because everybody in the fellowship know now. Anyway, it's not everybody know. You worked for Courtney's family. She's like, yeah. And when she get to telling them what it was like working for Courtney's family, they be like, that's impossible.
Oh, wow.
She'd be like, when you hear him talking about that Nigerian thing, that was me who brought that dope from Nigeria. They'd be like, oh. He's like, you hear them talking about that Pakistani thing? That was me and Shauna picking up that bag.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heavy duty.
There was a time. All right,
Yeah,
ready to do this?
Yeah, man. Let me just make one quick go around before. Yeah. Okay, that's 22 minutes of good content. All right, and I can start this one up. Check, see where this battery is. Oh, your battery's beautiful. And this one more time, is about
Scaring the money away.
Scaring the money away.
And we're going to give some analogies and bring it back to what the team here need to be doing. And talk about my beloved brother. It only took him 8 years to get on board, but to his credit, eventually Mr. Jackson Jr. got on board. I ain't got 8 years to wait for the rest of you niggas to figure it out.
None of us do.
And I do understand it's all so new. It's all so new, and this shit is happening so fast. But regardless of that, fellas,
Money never sleeps.
oh, they will pass us. You know, timing everything. It's our time. It is. America is ready for the dope man to sell toilet paper, lollipops, jogging suits, trips to the islands. We can be sponsors and pitch men for all kind of shit. Because right now, Street Legends is more famous than a lot of these old bum athletes is making ridiculous money promoting shit.
This is weird.
We need niggas who used to sell dope need to be the weatherman, all that shit. It's Doc Davis, looking like sunny skies, rain tomorrow. Let's shoot it over to Sylvester. Seal, what they got going on? Well, we here on Woodward at the parade. Y'all had the best. That network would have had the best ratings in the city. It's for real. See,
You already know.
But I get it. God gave me an imagination. Niggas can't see what they can't see. They can't see what they
that
can't.
vision.
They can't see what they can't see. See, for real, I can see Doc Davis doing the weather.
Right.
And I'm gonna be honest. When I knew it, when I had the thought, was when you ever see when Jim Jones used to do his weather thing.
No.
Oh man, Jim Jones and them. This shit's great. You have to check it out. Jim he started off just doing bullshitting on his IG Live.
Okay.
And he'd leave the house and he'd be like, oh shit, it looked like rain. I can't put on my fresh Air Force Ones today. And he would be like, niggas, it's Timberland weather out here. And he'd be like, mommy, don't come outside. Your hair gonna get fucked up. I'm telling you, baby girl. It's awful damp out here. Baby girl. You got to throw the scarf on the head today. Don't fuck up your do out here today.
Was this like in real time?
This was real time. And the shit started blowing up. Next thing, so he would be like, okay, then he saw the shit was getting real. The Jim Jones weather report.
Yeah.
And he started having like the backdrop and shit.
The whole blue screen.
Then the shit really started popping. And he'd be like, all right, let me see what the weather like down in the A. and they cut, and it'd be Jeezy. And he'd be like, yo, it's your man Snowman, we down here, it's sunny, it's a beautiful day in the A, yada, yada, yada. Then they'd be like, homegirl Amber, and they'd shoot out to L.A., and there'd be Amber Rose on the beach in L.A., and they'd be like, it's your girl Amber. It's a little cloudy day out here on the coast. Man, this shit was lit, as the kids say. And
How long ago was this?
Man, they might still be doing it. But I know last year.
Wow.
I mean, it had got to the point to where I know, like, they were having conversations with Revolt about making it
a normal thing.
That Jim Jones does the weather for Revolt.
That's about as ahead thinking as they had those girls who would, like, you know, start basically stripping. You know, they do the weather or the news.
I'll talk about this. It's a great story that DJ Drama tells about BMF.
Okay.
And he's like, let me tell you something about how the niggas clown.
Okay.
He was like, I have been in the club. And them niggas come in and they start throwing that money away, throwing that money up in the air.
Yeah.
He was like, women who came in there with their girls, just 4 normal women. He was like, they turned into instant strippers because they just couldn't take it. They saw the real strippers would be in a regular club and started just acting like it was a strip club.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, in regular broads, just saw these niggas just coming
just throwing money.
Band after band after band. And he was like, next thing you know, mommy's like, oh, fuck this. What it is, what they hitting for? Because it ain't no way I'm going to watch all this. Yeah, he tells
it's crazy.
A great story about Meech. All-Star Weekend, he got all their cars. They got their Ferraris, their Lamborghinis,
right on,
and shit, right?
Right.
And the traffic's all blocked up. And everybody was some real Eddie Jackson kind of shit. And he's like, fuck it, fellas. Leave all the whips. We walk into Magic City. Let them just tow it. They're going to tow them all to the same place. We'll just go get the whips after we leave the club. That's why he got a TV show.
That's why he got a TV show. Big time.
He put on a show. You can't see what I'm saying. And we don't hate around these parts.
No hate here.
Ain't no hate here. They
congratulate.
Yeah, they
appreciate.
They did their thing.
They did their thing.
Are we ready to go ahead and go on and get to it for real, for real?
Let's do it. Motown Mafia Podcast, August 31st.
Episode, let's start labeling. Episode 51.
Episode 51.
We going from here on. Count.
(1973). The Detroit Free Press's front page proclaims, "Dope kingpins get away with it." They had names like Jesse James, Pretty Ricky, the Black Greek, and Mr. Clean. 2 of the 12 men listed as Detroit's biggest heroin dealers were next-door neighbors, and in reality, they were the 2 largest heroin dealers in Detroit, dwarfing the other men on the list. Eddie the Fat Man Jackson, charismatic son of a pool hall owner, and his chief lieutenant, Courtney the Field Marshal Brown, a former city bus driver, had built an empire on a par with men like Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas of New York. But theirs was a very different and in many ways more sophisticated operation than Barnes and Lucas's, based on family ties and finesse more than murder and mayhem. They truly were the Motown Mafia, and the saga of Eddie Jackson, Courtney Brown, and their families stretched from the 1960s and into the present day.
What's happening, family? It is your man, CRB Jr. here at Motown Mafia Podcast, of course, a Big Boss Filmworks production. And next to me is You Don't Know. If you don't know, you should know. And if you don't know, you probably should ask somebody. Brother Lou, what's happening, family?
It's Luda Great. It's Authorized Dealer. It's Flyers Plus Graphics. It's Sunrise Sunset. It's Motown Mafia. It's Big Boss Filmworks.
It's the hustle, ain't it?
It's the hustle. And I'm all about it.
And what do hustlers do?
Hustle all day.
Long time. So good. I hope everybody's good before we get started. If you guys are checking this out on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like, share, and subscribe button. Channel is growing quickly, and we do appreciate and love you guys for that. Yeah, if you guys are into the pod business, like to check out content while you're driving, doing work around the house when you're in time, check us out on Anchor and Spotify. Yeah. So yeah, man, everything good with you?
Everything's good, man. We had a hell of a storm yesterday.
Dude, they got the D. We was talking about Jim Jones and the weather report.
Right.
We're gonna do a Big Boss weather report.
Yeah.
Update.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had a storm came through here, and America's infrastructure all fucked up. Excuse me.
Yeah, big time.
Got our shop shut down. Got our studio shut down.
Studio shut down. Excuse the impromptu recording, folks.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We just had to keep it moving.
We got a little of the Big Boss merchandising on. And if you like, check us out, shop.bigbossfilmworks.com if you want to get yourself a little something, your hoodies, your t-shirts, your caps, your socks, your phone cases, you name it, we got it.
And on that note, do not forget, because we got to get the family up to speed, because as the channel grows, and a lot of you guys actually know us from YouTube, and aren't even aware, there's a whole lot of information out here about my father, Courtney Field Marshal Brown, and of course his main man, Eddie the Fat Man Jackson, first guys to really kind of light up Detroit and get it lit, and the whole rest of the crew. Shout out to Uncle Butch, the great Charles Rudolph, and the rest of the Detroit trap gods who we talk about here. But if you want the information, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, Motown Mafia, available on Amazon and Amazon Kindle. You can check out the book. Of course, this led to the award-winning documentary, which is available on Amazon Prime and Tubi TV that we did with our man Al Prophet, directed that and put it down, produced with yours truly, Lou Next Door, and shout out to DJ Taxi Richard Jennings out there, and also producer on that project was, you know him as Eddie Baby, we know him as Eddie Jackson Jr.
Eddie Jackson
now
Jr.
with his own station down in Florida, Real True Street Crimes. Also available at bigbossfilmworks.com is Getting Off Zero, Mind Right, Money Right. Shout out to Ray Tatum down there in Atlanta. It's a great book, got some history lessons, a lot of entrepreneurial lessons. It was our way of trying to give back to the community, And lastly but not leastly, there is Big Man on Campus. Let's get the copy. Big Man on Campus. Fictional story of me during my college days when I started working for my old man. We had to change some names and places because the timeline gets a little close to too close for comfort.
Yeah, big time.
But I think you guys will enjoy the read, and those who know the story will be able to connect the dots. And that's available on Amazon Kindle right now. And if you do want the paperback, that one you got to go directly to us here. Check us out at bigbossfilmworks.com, and you can get you a copy of Big Man on Campus. So all of that is good and going down. And again, we got the merch. And it's growing, the love that's been shown here in the D and again nationwide is just awesome. Shout out to a brother running for Congress. I believe his name, let me try to make sure I get his name right. So bear with me 1 second here, family. It was a brother. I was in New York at Peter Luger's, and then we went over to Mashoud, and the brother reached out to us. I want to say his name is Conrad, and he's running for Congress out in New York. Brother Conrad, I believe he's running for state rep out of Brooklyn, and shout out to him, a really good brother. We chopped it up. He checked in, asked and checked in on about Kwame and the rest of the team here in Detroit. And that was a home team of one of the family out in Brooklyn, Brother Conrad, running for office. We're going to give him a shout and follow back up with him. But again, so shout out to everybody, you know, all over town, wherever I travel, would be Atlanta, Miami, the Dominican Republic, wherever we go, you know, people have shown Big Boss love, and we want to say thank you for it.
Yeah, big time. Thank you. Thank you
for that. So, you know, what we do is we was talking, Louis, we hustle.
Yes, indeed.
And, you hustle so that you can get some money, because money is a tool in today's world.
That's right.
And the more of it you have, like a toolbox, the more stuff you can get done with it. So with that said, you know, and I check out a lot of other content and content creators. So the guy who was kind of mentioned at first was Fat Joe. So shout out to Fat Joe, and shout out to the pod I saw him on. He was on Expert Opinions. That's that brother Matt Hoffa.
Yeah.
And those guys, they're doing great. They do some
big up. Big up.
They do some great content over there. And he was telling the story about, you know, Fat Joe come out the streets. He come out of the Bronx. Actually got some mutual friends. Eddie used to hustle with a lot of that crew out of Soundview in the Bronx.
Right.
Used to be up there at Branson, the famous weed joint up on 145th in St. Nick. You know, Fat Joe would be around them parts, and you know, he's a real guy. He's a real street guy. People who know his story, his backstory. In fact, he's got a doc, you know, coming out. The Story of Joe, The Legend of Joe.
Really?
No, The Book of Joe.
Oh,
it's called The Book of Joe. They're doing a doc on him. He come out the mud for real. You know, so it's always good when, to quote my man Hova, you know, and all the hustlers love to see one of us make it.
That's right.
So for real, you know, it don't never be no hate over here, because for those real ones,
Yeah.
that really come out the struggle and come out the mud and can take it to some of the heights that some of these guys are taking it to, you know, it does our heart good.
Definitely.
So anyway, Joe's a real one. Fat Joe was kicking it though about when you come out of the struggle, and you move into that next level of getting money, and you start dealing with that corporate money, and you start dealing with squares. The rules of the streets and how you moved when you was in the streets, you can't move like that because you'll scare away the money.
Yeah.
So he's saying that now this is like modern day, you know, and he ain't no more Joe off. He ain't Joe Crack to a lot of people. He's
Right.
Fat Joe.
Right,
A lot
right.
of people know him as Joe
Joe
Crack.
Crack.
Right? Well, he don't really move as Joe Crack so much.
Right.
He Fat Joe.
Yeah.
Right? Fat
That's
Joe,
right.
the entertainer, worldwide celebrity, yada, yada,
That's right.
yada. But even though he had transitioned from Joe Crack to Fat Joe, he was still moving like he was Joe Crack.
Yeah.
Right? So he kicking it about the lady. He down in Miami. You know, he spent a lot of time down in Miami. Occasionally, actually, we've seen him out and about. And shout out also to Nori, who be down there in Miami. So wherever we down there, sometimes we, you know, people cross paths, or you see him at the same restaurants and shit. But anyway, so he's saying he's in Miami just chilling. He's just Fat Joe in his linen suits with his, you know,
Right.
you know, looking like Liberace. And he's like, a guy comes up to him, says, "Can I tell you a funny story?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know, about 8 years ago, I was working for a company called Red Stripe, the Jamaican beer company." And he was like, "They had dispatched me to go to New York and find you because they wanted you to be the sponsor." He says, "I'm a square guy. I'm just a corporate guy." But he's like, "And we were having a hard time getting a hold of you. It's like everybody within your world was giving us the runaround. The record labels weren't really cooperative."
Right.
And so, but they really wanted you to be the spokesman for Red Stripe. And he's like, they're like, so that you would know that we were serious, people from Red Stripe had given me a $2 million check to give to you. He says, so I find out where you're at, and I go to this club up in the Bronx. And he's like, and you got 100 guys around you. He's like, and I'm a square guy in a suit. He's like, but I get my courage up. And I try to walk and try to approach you. And he's like, and the first guy stops me like, yo, you can't be walking up on my man. Street shit.
Right.
Street shit. What was you? Square? Why you trying to walk up on my man like that? He like, I navigate around him, I get within about 20 feet of you. Another one of your guys stopped me and like, you can't come talk to the guy, man. Who is you? We don't know you. It don't work like that.
Right.
And he was like, I left and I went back, told the people at Red Stripe, you can't even get to this guy. It's like some kind of gangster mafia thing going on. You can't even talk to the guy. And Joe was like, the way he was moving, he was scaring away the money. He hadn't evolved that there was now corporate money. Mm-hmm. So now, of course, he's pitching, you might see Joe selling diapers now because he's figured it out and he doesn't move like that anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And he was saying that's actually why he left New York and moved his operation down to Miami. He couldn't keep scaring away the money, and knowing all the street people he knew from New York and from back in the day. And I get it. We have to, of course, here we at Big Boss, we deal in both worlds, right?
Yeah.
One minute we're talking to people at Reels TV or AMC Stars and these are nice little white girls, and they just have filmed the cooking channel, and now they're talking to us reformed hoodlums, and then you talking to hoodlums, and they don't understand. Hey man, we can't talk like that around these people.
That's right.
We scare these people away. We start talking about these guns and shooting and all that street shit, man. We can't do that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So that's what I completely. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
It's like going from one world to the next.
And you got to know when you switch those worlds.
Definitely.
And that the rules of this world don't work in that world. That when we all together from back in the day, we can talk about all that killing and blood and guts and pimping and yada yada.
And keys and G's.
Yeah, but when you dealing with these people, they like, well, we already know you're a gangster, but let's talk about how we can make money.
Right, exactly.
And if you start talking too much about that old shit, then you scare them away and they can't relate. So that was a very interesting insight that Fat Joe had there. And then on the same platform, I was just checking it out, and it made me really think about what's going on as these platforms grow on YouTube, on pod platforms, on TV. Again, you got the Book of Joe coming out. We had already talked about. You got all that Supreme stuff going, McGriff stuff coming down the pipeline. Obviously, this kind of the success that our man Al Prophet has had, covering us and covering other people from our world.
Yeah.
This thing is big, and there's opportunities out there, but if we who from that background and lifestyle don't understand how we should be moving, we will scare away the bag, and a lot of opportunities that would have been there will get lost.
Yeah.
So what made me think about the whole topic was I was watching again Math Officer, shout out to those guys over there, and they had DJ Drama on there, right? Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how integral he was in squashing the beef between Jeezy and Gucci Mane.
Okay.
And you remember when we were messing with our Arab friends, a shout out to the old Goodfellas family.
Yeah, what up?
They was tied in, the guys who I hustled in the apparel business for a long time, they were tied into Jeezy's CTE group, right? So because DJ Drama's talking about, the people didn't understand how much that beef between Gucci Mane and Jeezy was affecting the whole city, because they both got big ecosystems. There's thousands of people who are eating off their plate in Atlanta. And of course I got a first-hand episode because old boy would send Jeezy CTE people to head and toe to pick up the money that I owed him. And my staff, and I'm living in my own world.
You know who that was?
Them niggas would come in with their iced out CTE chains,
Right.
And they'd be like, "We here to see Courtney. He here?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." And they'd be like, and those guys. Shout out to Charles. Shout out to Jameer. They'd be like, you know CTE, you know that's Jeezy people. And I'd be like, man, all I know is they picking up money for the Arab, the big Arabs that I owe this change to.
Right.
And, you know, that's all fine. But old boy would call me, he'd be like, I'm gonna send some of Jeezy's people by there to pick up that bread. So I think for a minute they were actually thinking about doing a clothing store down in Atlanta. Well, anyway, it did make me see how big Jeezy and that whole CTE movement was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
My same employees, they were the ones who had schooled me on, because this is when I had my shops in Atlanta, Gucci Man, and how it was like this guy was becoming a real thing in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, and this is like 07, 08, 09.
You couldn't turn the radio on without hearing the man.
Yeah, like 07, 08, 09, maybe 20, all the way to 2010. Gucci was really getting a large following down there. So when Drama's kind of explaining this, I was like, yeah, it threw me back to our days in Atlanta, and I could see, knowing how the hoods operate, and they were talking about how their beef was affecting kids, that somebody's daddy would be in charge of Gucci security, somebody's daddy would be in charge of CTE or Jeezy's security, and the kids can't even go to school now because everybody beefed out, and the DJs were getting beat up for playing. If CTE is in the club and you play Gucci, they might bum rush the DJ or vice versa, and then it just got crazy.
That's real.
Right?
Yeah.
So Drama goes on to explain, though, and of course, ain't no money really getting made, and they had a joint song, Icy, that they did together that, of course, caused for a lot of people. And, you know, anyway, it was some real shit ended up going down between those two guys. And there was a life, like, lost.
Mm-hmm.
And Drama had played an integral role in bridging and actually reaching out, because he had made a lot of bread with Jeezy. He had made a lot of bread with Gucci Man. They both did respect him.
Mm-hmm.
And when him and some other people started reaching out saying, man, isn't it about time we put this beef aside? And of course, that's all what led to the Gucci Jeezy versus.
Okay.
Right? Which was like viewed by I don't know how many millions of people. And Atlanta was just basically shut down that night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since then, now, more money can flow for everybody.
That's right. Yeah.
In fact, I think they did a tour together now, and they're both now making millions of dollars on tour by touring together because, as Drama was saying, they both had matured to the point that they understood we're businessmen now.
Yeah.
And we got to make decisions based as businessmen, and they both got wife and kids, and we got to make decisions based on being fathers and husbands.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I salute those brothers, because that growth and that evolution, and I tie that all back to full circle. So, you know, sometimes we run into some struggles trying to link up people for our content, because they was YBI, they was Pony Down. That clique did that to this clique, you know. Thank goodness the way Pops handled his business, we were not a beefed out organization or crew.
No.
People, and God, all praises to Allah, you know, we ain't got no problem with nobody. The people who owe us money, we don't owe nobody no money, and all the people who owe us money, we charged that to the game a long time ago.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we was doing what we was doing, we ain't hurt nobody, because ain't nobody really try to hurt us. And the niggas who talked silly, we chalked it up to just silly nigga talk.
Pretty much.
And it wasn't no reason for nothing more to happen. And Lord knows we got some people in our family and friend circle that are, they are not like my father.
Yeah.
And they often would be in my father's ear like, we need to do this, that. You know what old boy said? You know what old boy over there doing? Berman, you need to let me go. And Pops gave out more passes than Tom Brady. And Pops would always quote Eddie, who, the fat man used to always say, you know, if we kill every nigga who do something stupid, it ain't enough room in the graveyard. And again, though, but on a more positive note, that these guys, because that whole Gucci thing, you look at what ended up happening with Biggie and Pac, you know, legends and talents and billions of dollars lost besides their lives. So to see those guys move on, and I tie that back to what's going on here in the content world with street guys. A lot of times, there's so many opportunities for guys who come from that background, because there's so many guys who are famous, like, you know, like us here in Detroit, and in New York they got their cliques, in Philly they had their cliques, and in Atlanta, and everybody, right?
Everybody.
These guys, we can be doing
Major numbers
if we actually collaborated and let everybody use their skill set, you know. And shout out to, you know, Uncle Butch, and again, we won't tell his business, the big homie KK. I know they working on some stuff too. Al did some great work with Doc Davis. You know.
Yeah. We did the piece in his loft.
We did a piece. Doc let us use his loft right downtown. That was some good kind of the collaboration kind of thing. And you know, guy at Doc's level, of course, is all kind of things, and you know, guys are getting plenty of money, there'd be all kind of issues and this, that, and the others, and rumors, but at a certain point I'm like, you know, he's a legend, and we gotta let some of that shit just be.
Yeah.
And we all come out of the same struggle, and it's time for us to be businessmen.
That's right.
Because at this point, our kids and cousins and family, our legacies will be defined by what we do. America and the entertainment industry realizes unequivocally that this hip hop thing's foundation comes from our world.
That's right.
The youngsters, in fact, have meshed it so much they want to still be hustling as they rap it, as they become rap stars. Now, riddle me that. Whole different conversation. You know, they still shooting at each other and doing all moving the bag after they leave the studio or before they get to. I'm like
living their lyrics.
They're living their lyrics. These kids are too real. We talk about real ones. These kids are too real about it.
They hot to death.
They ain't bullshitting, but they need to double check that too. And they need some leadership from our generation to be like, guys, you guys have escaped. You guys have escaped the jungle. You ain't got to live like that no more.
That's right.
You ain't got to live like that no more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard. So yeah, that was a great interview, and salute out to calm, what they say in the scriptures, blessed be the peacemaker. So shout out to DJ Drama on that.
Big
I
ups on
always
that
have liked to
always
myself as a peacemaker. You know, very much my father's child in that way. When brothers would be beefed out, and again, like with that Jeezy, Gucci situation, when the real life had been lost. You know, back in the day, people was dying.
Yeah.
People got killed. People killed people. So I get the shit was real. The shit is real.
Yeah.
And I get that some of these differences and beefs just can't be mended. You know, I get that. But a lot of these street beefs, the expiration date has occurred.
A lot of these things are over, what, $2,500 debts or...
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the principle of it.
Well, it's a lot of that, but I'm saying even among the in particular, our associates from that YBI era.
Right.
You know, there were two real different camps.
Okay.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're
Very
saying.
much similar to the kind of like that Jeezy. In Detroit in the 80s, in that neighborhood, very much. You had two different ecosystems and different associates.
Absolutely.
And cliques that a lot of people in town were eating off of. And the people involved had a lot of influence over a lot of people.
Definitely.
And the beef was real. Beef was
legit.
The beef was legit. a lot of that shit though is a long time ago, man. A long time ago. And it's people's families and kids who actually could be doing some positive things, taking negative situations that happened in the past and turning them into some positive things, but you got to be thinking that way. You know, again, shout out to Mr. Cooper, James Cooper, aka Pep. Compelling story. You know, we bought some T-shirts, and those T-shirts weren't great. Those were some great YBI shirts, in fact, that Pep's son had. They need to keep pumping those shirts out. You know, his story is compelling and serious. There was some real shit going down with him.
Yeah.
Some real shit going down with him. But there's a way to do this in a classy business way where your story can get told. The beefs that were back in the day, you know, they were what they were, and some shit went sideways with everybody a bunch of times.
Right.
But I'm saying there's some ways to collaborate, and again, like what his son's doing with those Pep and YBI T-shirts, that's a good thing. And it just needs to be taken to the next level. And if we keep talking about, and I'm not talking about Pep and this what I'm about to say, because what they're doing is great, and we all good there. But as a clique, as a hustler community or ex-hustler community, if we don't behave in a certain way, the T-shirt companies and manufacturers that might want to really get involved with something like that, and that go for Motown Mafia apparel, that don't just go for them.
Yeah.
I was talking to Five, Steve Goodwin, shout out to Five, a couple months ago, maybe this time last year. And another guy with just a compelling story, as real as they come. There's a story there. There's money that's there to be made, but we got to network, you know, and be businessmen about this, and we got to leave some of that street shit in the past.
Yeah.
You know, and I just named just two, but there are many. Oh, shout out to who reached out to me, Brother Reagan, Reaganomics. He got something coming. Brother Reagan, shout out. We speak on not a regular basis, but you know, anything I can always do to help any of the family who trying to do a book or trying to do a doc or trying to do whatever it is they want to do to tell their experiences out here in the struggle. You know, I mean, you know that I ain't tell about that. Anybody can reach out to me. I mean, I be busy, you know. Once I get your number and I can get it in my, and I can put you in as a respectable hustler, then I'll try to pick up the phone if I can. You know,
there you go.
I get a crazy amount of phone calls every day, but yeah, shout out to Reagan. He I know he's working on some things, and people need to know about Reaganomics, and so many. We got to follow back up, even though she got her movie done, Big 50. You know, but I think again her story's so deep. That it needs to be fully unpacked. My knowledge of how the apparel business works and women plus size apparel, you know, and so I'm throwing this one out here to you, Sister 50.
All right.
For a freebie, you know, we need to be getting, you know, your plus size women's apparel line going, and that's the kind of shit I'm talking about.
Right,
now.
Exactly.
You know, that's the
linkage, man.
We gotta
solidarity. For
real.
Yeah.
For real. And let who shot John, and y'all didn't give me the bag back in the day, and our bag was bigger than yours, and you know, and then your people in the projects never paid my man, and we gotta let it go, fellas. We gotta let it go. Because the world is interested in hearing our stories. When in a lot of the stuff we don't even go into. Why? Because out of respect for this, that, and the third, we
try not to step on toes,
have
man.
To imagine how many compelling, fascinating stories we really know that we never speak about, right?
Definitely.
Because of the street politics of it all.
That's right.
And until certain people say, Junior, it's all right for you to talk about that, I don't talk about it. But a lot of money is being lost because I can't talk about it.
Because you can't.
And especially as we move into Big Boss, start doing some shorts, movies, and some full-length movies. Your homegirl, our homegirl Michelle wants us to do. I'll leak this because it's been leaked. You know, she's working on a script about Highland Park.
Okay.
the Edie family, the Staley family, you know, all those guys, a lot of people at Highland Park brothers were dying, and I get that it's real. Shout out to Voodoo, Rodney and them. You know, they was running around when we were over on Geneva with Eddie. Highland Park, you know, during that 80s period, had overlap with YBI, overlap with Pony Down, overlap with Eddie, you know, and trying to navigate telling that Highland Park story gets also political.
Oh yeah, it's sticky.
And shout out to one of the members of the Edie family actually reached out to me, and I think it was Fred. I don't wanna get it messed up. Anyway, I will do a retraction on that if I have misspoken. But oh, I'm sorry, I got it right here. Shout out to Mo Edie, Highland Park legend, Edie family, real famous. You know, those who know. I know he got some good ideas too. And because though things were real back in the day, you know, just navigating around. So I just throw it out there, and again, shout out to Mo for reaching out, and hopefully we'll be able to link up with him. We had a brief conversation about some opportunities, and you know, again, I'm open, I'm down, bro. We can try to make it happen. And again, we got a homie that really wants to do this Highland Park story, and if you do a Highland Park story, you guys got to be a part of it. And I know you guys had all kind of real situations going on, but you guys are real ones. And we just need to figure out a way to put it together, man.
Definitely.
We just need to figure out a way to put it together in a respectful way, with respect to the game and things that happen. So, but shit, if Gucci and Jeezy can settle their differences and get to the bag, we boys need to be able to settle our differences.
Get on that maturity level, man.
Get on that. Right.
I mean, it's a few different, namely, like I think back to the Hov and Nas thing. I mean, that could have went ugly. That could have went just as ugly as Pac and Big. And
they said some awful things about each other.
Yeah. I mean, that was
awful things, and now they both getting bread together.
And
they said some,
and both just. In them bees, man. In them bees.
And yeah. See what I'm saying?
See.
So look at us, as God rest his whole brother Cochise Bowen used to say. Look at us.
But speaking of reaching out, and I don't know, I might be editing this out, but somebody really special reached out to us.
Oh no, I think we can talk about it.
We can talk about it. Yeah, big shout out to this fella, man.
Big shout out to Basil Miller III.
That's right.
He's the grandson of Basil Miller. You've heard us speak of him, of his grandfather as Mr. B. Just a phenomenal guy, one of, you know, and all the people I met working for my dad. His grandfather
is in this book here.
Yeah.
As General Cash.
Yeah. You know, my times down there in the islands, you know, I grew up. I mean, that's where I went from a intern to a straight guy in the game.
Yep.
Was that Bahamas run thing. And he reached out to me. He's got some real estate down there that opportunities maybe that we'll look at. And it was just really cool. Touched my heart that our reach is all through the Caribbean. Again, his grandfather was just a unique guy.
Yeah.
And I've met all kind of hustlers. And Mr. B, Basil Miller, was a unique IQ off the charts. Again, tied into everybody from Haiti to the Bohemian, highest levels of office, just to the mob here. And again, though, to see the family down there, they're legit now. And doing some things.
Absolutely.
And so he didn't reach out on some hood shit. He reached out on some businessman shit. And we're going to follow up on that. So, this thing, 40 years plus going strong, and the ripples still. And that's the kind of shit I'm talking about.
That's right.
Is the Plug's grandson reaching out to the other plug's son and saying,
Let's get some bread together.
Let's get some bread
Let's
together.
get some bread together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's a beautiful thing.
That is. In fact, I think we got a call lined up with him tomorrow.
Okay, that's what's up.
And when we get back down there, and never know, So I could see in 2023 us broadcasting live from the islands.
I can see that happening.
Like for real, because I would love the treasure trove. And at this point, enough time has passed to get down there and really let you guys, because Basil Miller was kind of highly educated, international. I mean, his reach went to London, to India, to Haiti, to Miami, to New York. I mean, Mr. B could just make it happen.
Yeah, the Black Sosa.
Yeah, he could just make it happen. And, again, this guy, Mr. B, he was with Carlos Leader at Cat Island in Norman's Cay. This ain't like he heard about it, he was close to. No, he was one of those guys who, when that whole Pablo Escobar, Bahamas, Carlos Leader thing, he's one of the charter members of that situation.
That's right.
Right. So when you look at Cocaine Cowboys 1, 2, or 3, you gotta know that this guy is, and because he was so smooth, his name stayed out of the press a lot. But those in that world,
if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. All the guys like my age, you guys, we got kids and grandkids that they wasn't tainted by that, but their fathers and grandfathers were major figures in this street shit. Now this street shit is mainstream and corporate, and it only is right. Because let me say this, and then we'll stop beating the horse. It's gonna be some, in all respect to my white family and Jewish brothers and sisters out there, and from the Arab community. Y'all know I do business with everybody. Green is the color we're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be some white kids and Jewish kids and other people from other communities eating good off of this street shit. And if we don't organize our affairs,
Already are.
They are what I'm talking about. They already are. Yeah,
Stars,
Stars, BMF,
Viacom,
Hulu,
man.
Hip Hop Undercover. Nas coming to Showtime.
Right.
Gotti got a movie coming out. Will Smith, I don't know when Netflix gonna release his thing as Nicky Barnes.
Yeah, the Nicky Barnes story. Yeah.
Paramount, American Gangster, 400 million grossed and counting. For real, fellas?
For real.
For real? Because, see, we going to do what we going to do. Big Boss going to get the job done. And I'm just saying, fellas. Holla at your man.
The olive leaf has been extended.
I ain't mad at nobody.
That's right.
My friends and family, regardless of popular chatter, my friends and family ain't mad at nobody. Okay? For real. My friends and family ain't got nothing but love for all the people that they hustled with.
That's right.
For real. So whatever perceptions or maybe some things were said that shouldn't have been said, but I'm here to say that whatever was said in the past, that shit, chalk it up, charges the game. It's nothing but love for all those that we hustled with out there. And I'm speaking for myself, I'm speaking for my friends, and those who know, I don't gotta go into it. And it's all good.
That's real.
We ain't got no problem with nobody.
That's real.
But so let's figure out how to get some bread.
Let's do this.
That's what we talking about. Again, let's not scare away the money. As Fat Joe said. Let's not scare away the money. So it's all good, man, right?
It's all good, man. It's all good.
It's all good. So what else we got coming up?
Wanted to extend a big shout out to Ken the Street Monster Bailey and Petty Pac. A couple of cats we need to get on the pod.
ASAP.
We need to get King Dave, the hip hop historian. That day is coming soon.
Yeah. All that's coming down the pipe. So that's what I'm saying. There are people reaching out. We've been busy.
Mm-hmm.
We had to put some loved ones to rest, but we back to it and we back at it. And
Yeah.
we gonna go for ours
On some strength shit.
on for real, for real. So anybody out there, man, if it's about that, if y'all was about that life at a certain, level,
Yeah.
then and we've been at this. We don't You're just not patting ourselves on the back. We've been at this now 10 years plus.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Award-winning documentary, whole lot of books sold.
Yeah.
We know how this thing worked. We plugged in out in Cali, plugged in New York.
Yep.
Just holler at your man. We can make some stuff happen. Because we are definitely not so big that we can't use some help or partnerships. We're looking for partnerships.
That's right.
Because the bag's big enough to get split up.
Big time.
And for real, what we just saying, our community didn't help Vlad get there.
That's right.
And he ain't throwing brothers a bone. Y'all help us get there. We gonna do right.
That's right.
We can all eat along the way.
Because
we gonna eat one way or the other.
I can't count how many times when the BMF show came out, how many people done came up to me saying, "Oh, y'all show is out. Y'all show is out."
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we so synonymous. This whole
'Cause it's
Detroit
our
thing. Once they hear Detroit, they think of us, and they probably think of you guys.
Well, and Meech, to its credit, we got that from Scott. The BMF organization was architected based upon the Eddie Jackson organization, the Doc Davis and Davis family organization, and the YBI organization.
That's right.
And Meech give credit to his predecessors, and that's why we give credit to them on how they did their thing.
That's right.
It wasn't a violence crazy crew. They was a money-getting crew.
That's right.
And when they had the throne, they lived real, real good.
That's right.
Matter of fact, too good. That makes Schoolyard George. Niggas getting all that money, we all gonna end up in the jailhouse. But and shout out to that. Shout out again, T. Glad he home. And Meech hopefully be home real soon. And it's just a good thing. It's a good thing, and they're leading the way on this thing. And salute to them for that.
That's right.
And salute to them for that. So we at Big Boss. We doing what we do, which I believe is depicting life.
In the struggle.
In the struggle, right?
That's right. And the struggle is relative.
And the struggle is relative, and we don't embrace the struggle, but we do talk about the struggle and know about the struggle. But it's time for all of us not to even be worrying about the struggle.
Say it louder.
It is time to get that corporate bag for our family.
Talk
all
to
then ran up that street bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bigger bag out there, and I'm saying that. And I know I'm talking to people who have ran up a serious street bag. But there's a bigger bag out there than we even ran up in the streets, fam. So, that's your man. Olive branch out. Phone work. Never gets turned off.
And
Email never gets shut down.
That's right. Big Boss Filmworks at yahoo.com or bigbossfilmworks at gmail.com. And to all of you watching right now, if you got a comment, if you got some suggestions on some content, if you heard something new in the street, if you want to say something, drop it below. We see something we like, one of you's getting a book
or a t-shirt. We're gonna get
t-shirt
t-shirts to give out too. For some
we'll be doing some give outs, and then you take a picture of yourself and we'll put it on the gram.
It's a brother who asked us to give him. Bear with me, 1 second.
That's right.
He asked us to give him a shout out, and I always forget, and I'm not gonna forget, because we're gonna find his comment and we're gonna give his brother his due, because it is due.
Mm-hmm.
Help me with this. What's that brother there? Dirty South Kennel? No, Dirty South.
Yeah, Dirty South Kennel. That's what it say.
I'm here to give a shout out to one of our loyal subscribers and follower, Dirty South. Looks like he can be reached at Dirty South Kennel. That's Dirty South, Kennel. Tag Dirty South. Looks like he's doing some stuff in the music business. He wanted to shout out, and now you got a shout out. We at Big Boss appreciate you and your support. And if you got something popping, you need to go ahead and really holler at your man. You can hit us up on the comments section, Dirty South. So, go on, let's talk some business. Let's see if there's something there, man.
That sounds about right.
All right, so That's what we doing. It's real. It's really happening, fam. So, holla at you, man. We good, Lou?
We good, man.
All right, again, hit that. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, comment. If you're checking out if you're in the pod world, or if you've been riding and you want to listen to us on the pod, check us out at Anchor and Spotify.
That's right.
Also, Big Boss Instagram, Big Boss Facebook, and we on TikTok now.
We're on
right?
TikTok, correct.
And we're going to start putting a lot of this content up, some of the stuff we do, because some of our best conversations and content actually occur before we formally start shooting. So we're going to start showing you guys some of that. We got Patreon coming.
We got Making of the Mafia coming. And by next year, we should have
Motown Mafia Part 2.
Motown Mafia Part 2. I know y'all waiting for that one.
So it's going down. It's going down. Again, on that one, family, and again, I mean, we have not yet, we're in the pre-production of Motown Mafia Part 2. We've got enough of the home team to do the project and do a great project, which is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, there's some of you guys in particular, because this Motown Mafia Part 2 is going to cover from when Eddie got out in '83 and my old man got out in '84. And we're going to run the story all the way through, rest in peace, to '95 when the big man passes, and kind of stop it right there in the middle of the height of the Pakistani plug with my old man. And the family out there know, all of you who was involved with that whole situation between 83, 84, all the way through 95. I really want you guys to participate in this project. For real, all jokes aside. We're going to put it down, and we're going to start shooting, if not before the holidays, right thereafter. It would make the project, it would make what's going to be a great project even greater. You know, Motown Mafia, it's on Tubi and Amazon Prime. You know, that's award-winning. We won so many and got invited. You know, winner of New York Independent Film Festival. You know, a selection at the Martha Vineyards Film Festival, Bronze Lens. It was critically acclaimed out the gate. Has become a urban legend as far as content about this life and about characters from this life. So when we do Part 2, I'd love for a lot of you guys, and some of you I ain't gonna even go through and call out your names again. I've been saying let's do something for a minute, so I'm just saying, fellas, let's do something. Let's do something.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right?
Yeah,
all right, it's your man, CRB Jr. Big Lou Stevens in the house.
Great.
Other half of Big Boss Filmworks. Just got off the phone with Pops, so shout out from Pops. Excuse me, family. Shout out to Pops and from Pops. We doing what we do here at Motown Mafia Podcast, Big Boss Filmworks production. Y'all just need to holler at your man. Peace.
(1973). The Detroit Free Press's front page proclaims, "Dope kingpins get away with it." They had names like Jesse James, Pretty Ricky, the Black Greek, and Mr. Clean. 2 of the 12 men listed as Detroit's biggest heroin dealers were next-door neighbors, and in reality, they were the 2 largest heroin dealers in Detroit, dwarfing the other men on the list. Eddie the Fat Man Jackson, charismatic son of a pool hall owner, and his chief lieutenant, Courtney the Field Marshal Brown, a former city bus driver, had built an empire on a par with men like Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas of New York. But theirs was a very different and in many ways more sophisticated operation than Barnes and Lucas's, based on family ties and finesse more than murder and mayhem. They truly were the Motown Mafia, and the saga of Eddie Jackson, Courtney Brown, and their families stretched from the 1960s and into the present day.